Alright students, welcome. Today I'm going to go over how to read your textbook. Now you might be thinking, gee Mr. Giuliano, that's pretty stupid. You can just open the book and read it. But there is actually a couple little tricks I can show you, or that I want to show you, that will help you to get the most out of your textbook reading. Now luckily, I don't want to use the textbook that much, but occasionally we'll reference it. So I want to show you a couple tips, and these are also just good tips for reading books in general. They'll help you to identify what you need to in the fastest way possible, and you'll also be able to preview what you read first, which is great because it'll get your mind working, and it'll help you absorb what you're reading. So first thing you're going to do is log into Pearson SuccessNet. I give that information on my course page, which is right here. And you'll go in and you'll see two textbooks, U.S. History, and you'll click on that one. So let's go to a chapter, chapter 16 for example, Life at the Turn of the 20th Century. Now, judging by that title, what would you say this is about? Coming up in a quiz question. But it gives all the chapters, and we're going to go over this one just because this is probably one of the last ones you covered in American History 1 or American Nation. So it gives you a chapter preview, really cool. It gives you the 4 sections of what's going to be happening. So we're going to learn in this chapter about education, entertainment, Jim Crow, what's that? The changing roles of women, especially during this time of the year. It will give you a timeline. Now, timelines are not, or to some degree, can be biased. You know, they're very helpful to see what's going on at the time because things don't happen in a bubble. For example, you can see just by these 4 dates, 1890, 1895, 1896, is that there's a lot of changes coming with different groups, from women to African Americans, and we can see that in 1905. So that you could guess, based on this timeline, that might be a focus of this chapter, because the timeline could include things like the Mexican-American War. I'm sorry, the Spanish-American War. Brain fart. It could include the rise of Germany. Germany's really starting to industrialize at this point. It could include things like the annexation of Hawaii, but it doesn't. Interestingly enough, it doesn't focus on the world events. It doesn't focus on the rapid industrialization of European cities, or it doesn't focus on the fact that Japan's becoming a larger power, or that Britain controls much of the world. It doesn't focus on any of that. It's really focused on, to some degree, I hate to say minorities, but that would probably, people who have often been marginalized in history. It's focusing on them in the chapter. It doesn't even mention the Wright brothers. It's specifically mentioning on that. So that will give you an idea of what the chapter is going to focus on. And to read your online text, you just scroll down the bottom of the page. There's a little arrow. Click here. And there's a couple big headings. First, these are essential questions you might want to ask yourselves. These are the questions the textbook is going to answer. So how wide did public schools expand during the late 1800s? If you can't answer that question by the end of this chapter, you might want to go back and check it. That gives you ideas of setting notes. So, a couple things in this text. You'll see blue headings, and let me go one more page. Red headings, and you'll see daily sides as well as graphs. So let's go back. What do you think a blue heading means? Setting the scene, growth of public schools. Let's keep going through the rest of the chapter and see what else is in there. Higher education expands. And the end of the section test. I'll let you guys answer that in the quiz. What do you think blue headings mean? You'll also notice red headings, not red herrings, red headings. These are smaller, to some degree, points that to some degree support the larger point, which maybe you could identify what that heading is now. So if you're looking for a big point, the blue heading should help you to answer the essential questions at the beginning of the chapter that I just went over, and the red headings will help to support that big heading. So think of these red headings as examples of what's going on underneath the blue heading. You also see graphs. Graphs are really great because they can help you visualize information that you're reading. So, for example, this one correlates to the increase of school population. We can see here that illiteracy in the country is around 20% in 1870, but by 1920, it's a little over 5%. So, what do you think if this is here? This section is going to be talking about literacy, and it will help to explain. If you know what illiteracy is, it helps explain what literacy is. And you'll see that in this section there's also vocab words. These vocab words here are highlighted in blue, and let's see what happens when you click on them. Oh, the ability to read and write. So what do you think illiteracy is? Obviously it would be the ability to not read and write. So 20% of the population not reading and writing in 1870, could be worse, not bad. And there's a reason of that, and this chapter tells you. So, those are a couple things within the text that I want you to focus on. When I might have you do an outline throughout the year, what you'll do when you have to do an outline is you'll use the blue headings as your main point and your red headings as a smaller point. And we'll go over that a little bit later. But to navigate this, all you need to do is go through the chapters, and then this blue arrow will get you where you need to go. All right. Hopefully the quiz helps you, and let me know if you have any questions.